AITA for kicking my mother out of my wedding after she brought my ex as her +1. I am 30, started seeing June, F29, about 3 years ago. My mother has never really liked June for a couple reasons, the main one being the fact that June didn't let my mom push her around. She kept firm boundaries, which I really admired, and she even helped me do the same. My mom hated this, calling June controlling and wishing I hadn't broken up with my previous girlfriend Margot, who my mom loved. I was with Margot for 5 years and it was horrible. Margot was very controlling and manipulative, and always guilted me into things I wasn't comfortable with. But thanks to support from friends and my sister, I was able to leave her. It was hard, but I had help and my life has improved since. My mom was very upset with this, but relationships didn't last, so she eventually let it go until I started dating June about a year later. When June and I announced our engagement, my mom didn't freak out, which was weird considering my mom hates June. She was very calm, but I just took it as she was finally accepting this, and so I didn't think much of it. Everything was fine and smooth up until the wedding. I gave both my parents +1s to the wedding since they both remarried after I graduated college. So I'm not close to their spouses, but gave them the option of inviting them. We had a very small ceremony. Just immediate family and a few close friends. After the ceremony, me and June went to take pictures and then met back with everyone we invited to the reception, which was pretty big. When we got there, my sister and June's best friend maid of honor ran up to us in a panic. Before they even said anything, I spotted it. My mom was at the table with my dad, my dad's wife, and Margot. I wanted to freak, but June kept me calm. I walked over, pulled them both aside, and simply told them to leave. My mom tried to explain Margot and I are soulmates, and June is just in the way of true love, but I wasn't hearing it. I didn't care. Just got my best friends to escort them out, and I returned to the party where luckily, after a few moments, I was able to relax and enjoy it. I really didn't think this would all turn into something huge, but me and June just got back from our honeymoon where we didn't have our phones, and seeing mine I saw hundreds of texts from multiple family members. They all think I was an asshole for kicking my mom out of her only son's wedding. For the record, she was there for the ceremony but apparently was really upset she was kicked from the reception. Here's a summary of my family's thoughts. Some think I could have just ignored Margot and didn't have to freak out. A few others, including my dad, think I should have just kicked Margot and let my mom stay, but after the stunt my mom pulled, I didn't want her there either. I'm starting to second guess myself since everyone is really mad. June and my sister are on my side, but I fear my dad may be right, and I should have just let my mom stay and made Margot leave. Now for the next story. AITA 4, humiliating my half and step sibling by telling the truth at school? To start with, I don't know my half sibling or any of my step siblings. I don't even call them that. We do not live together, and have never lived together. My dad cheated on my mom when she was pregnant with me, and my half sibling is a result of this. I'm 16 and she's almost 16. We're in the same grade, but we were never in the same class or shared any classes together. The mother of half, aka dad's affair partner, was married at the time, and she has 2/3 kids who are her ex-husband's kids. I was still young when mom and I learned the truth, so I don't know all the details. But the oldest turned out to be dad's and the younger 2/3 turned out to be the ex's. My dad and his affair partner ended up marrying each other after their divorces. I had no relationship with my dad after he moved out. I never spent time with the kids in his household. I do not consider us family. I don't want to get to know them because of the shared connection through dad. I'll never have a relationship with my dad again. Not even if he makes a huge effort in 10 years' time. I think he's a pretty disgusting person. For the last 2 years, half has tried to make us a family all of a sudden. She left notes in my locker about wanting us to hang out and for me to be a part of her family. I ignored it until she spoke to me face to face and I told her I wasn't interested and to please leave me alone. People will ask why we're in the same school, and it's because the only other option is a private school and my mom couldn't afford that. She's basically providing for me alone because my dad got like a huge child support debt. I could probably count on both hands the number of payments he made for me, and Mom has been to court, and he got his wages garnished, but then he quit his job. So now the oldest step, 14, is in the same school as us now, and both of them are trying to act like we're actually family. They don't like that I'm not interested, and they told some kids at school that their mom is my stepmom, and has been raising me, and I'm being a shithead and refusing to accept my family. They also said my mom couldn't look at me because of Dad and sent me to them, and never made contact again. When this made its way to me, which took like a day, I told the truth to the kids, who told me that my dad cheated and made half, that she was an affair kid on both sides, that I never spent a single minute with them outside of school, and that their parents are cheaters who fucked up everyone's lives, and I'm an only child in every way that counts. Now they're getting a lot of shit about it because I could prove what I said, since my friends hang out at my house all the time. The principal got involved, and apparently Step and Half's mom wanted me expelled for humiliating her kids like that. Next story. AITA for telling my mom it wasn't cute or funny to dress me as a hot dog instead of a princess. So there's this new Target commercial going around where a little girl dresses as a hot dog, and it came on while my family was watching a scary movie. I, 20F, am home from college for the weekend and brought my boyfriend, and my mother, 57F, decided it would be hilarious to mention that she'd made me a hot dog costume as a kid, except the way she told the story. It was my request. She said that all the girls wanted to be Disney princesses, but I had asked to be a hot dog, and so she'd gone out of her way to make me that costume. This is not what happened, and I said as much. What actually happened is that I wanted to be Snow White, and had told everyone, including the teachers, that I was going to be Snow White. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid, to the point where I would actually get invested in doing chores because I was cleaning up just like Snow White. My dad and I would watch that movie all the time, and I was very excited to be Snow White for Halloween, especially because my ballet studio was doing a special princess dance for Halloween, and we'd all signed up for special princess slots, and I'd shown up early with my dad the week before so I could get to be Snow White. My mother decided that she wanted to be quirky and that Snow White was a bad role model after I got in trouble for trying to cook dinner for my family. I was about 8, and I tried to make hot dogs, like how she made food for the dwarves in the movie, and I made a mess. My mom surprised me on the day of with this crappy hot dog suit, and told me if I didn't wear it she'd never let me watch Snow White again. She took a million pictures, the other girls teased me for months, and it was one of the most humiliating moments of my childhood. I told the real story, and mentioned that I got through the day by pretending that she was the evil queen making me dress in rags, but the rags happened to be a garbage meat costume. She got really quiet after that, and after we left, my brother says she was crying and looking at the pictures from that Halloween. I didn't want to make my mom cry, but it's a shitty memory for me, and it felt like she was trying to humiliate me all over again in front of my boyfriend. I called my mom out for forcing me to be a hot dog for Halloween and humiliating me as a child after she brought up the story pretending I'd wanted to be. Comment 1. Letting your parents pretend that everything they did was perfect is a terrible way to approach your adult parent-child relationship. We, the parents, need to hear about this to reconcile our self-image with who we were to you, the children. My own parents are still pretty crappy about admitting to the past. Denial is an addictive drug, so I don't really bother anymore. However, I make a point of telling my kid that I probably messed up plenty. I've asked him to tell me about it when those memories come up for him. We've had a couple of hard, painful conversations about times I've hurt him. They're important for him to get out there. It's cathartic to say it out loud. I sincerely believe that it helps heal our inner child when our parents affirm our version of memories and soothe our hurts. Comment 2. She wanted a different kind of kid than I was. It got a little better once I hit high school and she turned her focus on my brother and finally let me try out for cheerleading instead of basketball. But middle school and before, she was constantly trying to mold me into some sort of counterculture girl who she could say was so much smarter and better than the other girls. It made it hard to make friends, and once I had those friends, it felt like she was sabotaging it constantly because she thought they were beneath me for having the same interests I had. Comment 3. NTA. Are we siblings because we have nearly the same mom? The only difference is a personality swap. I was the classic rock-loving, shop and art kid building and making things, and she wanted the princess she could dress up with. She started tearing down my art really early, and I would hide it from her because she would just make me feel bad about the things I made if they weren't girly or proper enough. I only started making things again in my 20s after a bit of therapy and self-work that all my mother's issues she tried to put on me aren't mine to carry. But I make a point to do what you did whenever possible. Parents like ours don't live in the same reality as everyone else. They will rewrite and remember history differently. Also, what was key moments in our development were random days of the week to these adults. So don't feel bad and know that it has to be done if they ever have any chance at truly atoning for their actions or knowing us as people. Comment 4. That's such a BuzzFeed mom's thinking. I was raised by one. Snow White and other feminine Disney princesses are bad role models for young girls. And more tomboyish princesses are better. Totally ignoring the fact that Snow White was a victim of abuse. She also didn't clean up the dwarf's cottage because it was her role as a woman. At first, because she saw the little beds and thought they were orphans and feel bad for them. And later, because she didn't expect the tiny men to let her in for free and wanted to make herself useful. Thank you for watching! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.